Hi, my name is Steve and I play bass in the Phoenix Symphony. Today I'm going to tell you about my favorite subject in the whole world, about my bass. Many years ago, long before I even started playing the double bass, I used to go to the library at lunchtime when I was in high school, and I used to look at the old downbeat magazines, and I used to read about a famous bass player named Max Bennett. Max would win the Downbeat Readers polls every year for being the best electric bass player in the country. And I was playing electric bass a lot, and I go, wow, this guy must be a real monster. And that's all I really remember about Max Bennett. I just know he was playing with everybody. Fast forward, many years later, my phone rings, and it's Max Bennett. And he says, I got your number from somebody saying that you're looking for a double bass for yourself, and I have one for sale. And I knew who he was, so I said, oh, you're Max Bennett, you're that guy I used to read about. He goes, that's me. And he said he had bass players coming to try the bass in the following week from Texas, and I knew who those guys were, and I knew he wasn't making up the story, and I got worried thinking that if it's really a great bass, I better get over there quick, you know? And this is the time when in history when they just started, learned how to attach photos to emails. And as he's telling me about his bass, I was watching my future bass appear on the screen, line per line, and I could see this beautiful instrument appear, and I go, oh wow, I got to get over there. And I got on the plane the next day, and I flew to LAX, and I rented a car down to San Clemente, and Max lived on the ocean, and a beautiful house, and I got there about 15 minutes too early, and I knocked on the door, and Max yelled from upstairs. He goes, hey Steve, come on in, you're early. Sophia's in the corner there. And I looked for a dog maybe named Sophia, like a Rottweiler with a spiked collar or something, but it was a bass. And I looked at this beautiful instrument, and I go, thank God I'm here early. I was like, look at it, it's beautiful. And I started playing it before Max even came downstairs into the room. And it's a kind of a fun day. Max came down, and he was listening to me play, and I said, hey, you got tapestries hanging on the wall, and there's carpet everywhere. Is there another place in the house that I could play this bass at? He goes, well, I got a big kitchen. Come on in the kitchen. It had a wood floor, and the bass sounded better, and I could really hear what it was doing. So I was going through all my bass excerpts and all the things that I play in orchestra. And I loved the bass, and I was in this kitchen, I think, for a couple hours. And he came in and he said, Steve, I haven't eaten all day, and I'm hungry, and we need to go out and eat lunch right now. So something told me, just put the bass down and go with this man. And I was enraptured with Max because he played with everybody. Miles Davis, he did every movie, every commercial. I mean, geez, every commercial he had turned on in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, movies, sitcoms, Little House on the Prairie. He had this cherry red sports car that was custom made for him, and he called it his Little House on the Prairie car. And I said, why do you call it that? He goes, because I did every one of those shows to pay for this car. And so anyhow, it was a great day, and I asked him, I said, Max, why do you call your bass Sophia? He goes, well, I was doing a movie some time ago with Sophia Loren. She was singing in the movie, and she came out to meet the musicians during the break. And she said, you have such a beautiful double bass, and he said it was made in Italy like her. And she said, well, Max, you must call it Sophia then. And from then on, the name kind of stuck. So I don't name my bass Sophia. I don't call it Sophia, but the name kind of stuck. And I really love this instrument. It's very unique and it's very special. And he said, you're going to want to play this bass first for a year before you do any of that, because you're not going to understand what kind of personality this instrument has. And if you do all that work, you might lose that. And that was the agreement I had with Max. I could buy the bass from him, and I wouldn't do any of the work for a full year. He loved the bass so much, he was worried about how I was going to take care of it. And he also told me that there were bass players before me that came to play it, and he wouldn't let them have it because he didn't like their playing enough, which I thought was kind of funny, because then I realized he wasn't really so much trying to sell his bass as he was trying to find a good home for it. I saw this boat, and it was this beautiful, sailboat. And I looked in the back, and it was called the Sophia. And I said, Max, you like Sophia Loren so much, you named your boat after her. And Max said, Steve, haven't you learned anything about me today? And I said, oh my God, Max, you named your boat after your base. And he said, everything comes from the base. And he said, now Steve, you don't get to keep this base. You just get to take care of it for 30 or 40 years like I did. And he said, you play it in good health and enjoy it, and then you'll give it away to somebody else, sell it someday, like I am with you today. And that's the story of my base.